friends, and welcome to the CUInsight Network. I'm Robbie Young, Vice President of Strategic Growth at CUInsight, and on this show, I have conversations with thought leaders who support the credit union community. We'll identify issues affecting credit unions and discuss best practices so that we can all learn and improve. My guest today is Sarah Lambert, Vice President of Marketing at InvestiFi. Sarah, thanks so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
So most of us didn't grow up thinking that we would work in credit unions. What did you want to be when you grew up?
Oh, there were two things that I really wanted to be. I wanted to be a rock star, and I wanted to be, in my 10-year-old words, a robotic scientist. I have to be honest, I don't know exactly what I thought that would be, but I wanted to do those two things. And to be frank, my current role is kind of a combination of the two. So living the dream.
Respect. I like it.
Thanks.
And I would also like to know what a robotic scientist is. So when 10-year-old you finds out, just let us know, okay?
Okay, perfect. Yeah.
So what was the journey like to your current role as Vice President of Marketing at InvestiFi?
Unsurprisingly, like a lot of people in the marketing space, it's sort of a wandering path. But I actually started out working right after the dot-com bubble burst at a couple of different marketing agencies in Chicago. And then I ended up moving client side into sort of the HR tech space for quite a long time. But my focus has always been around integrated communications, meaning that we ensure that whatever message we're sharing runs through every single interaction. So whether you're doing digital marketing or direct mail or conferences, ensuring that there's consistent messaging. And that deep background in writing for me actually led me to product marketing in the larger tech space. I moved out to San Francisco, I want to say maybe it was 2016, and was very fortunate to work at a couple of startups there and then worked at Oracle for a while. And I moved out of the HR tech space into fintech and the startup space for fintechs, and I just loved it. I realized pretty quickly that I am a builder. So I like to see the impact of my work. And I found my way to InvestiFi April of 2024. And it's been not just a wild ride, but just really helped me to understand how I thrive in an environment, and working with an amazing team really helps you to do your best work. So it's been a pretty wild ride for me.
Well, and as somebody has talked to a few of your team members, I can say they are pretty amazing.
Yeah, they are.
Can you tell me a little bit more about InvestiFi and where you all add value to credit unions?
Yeah, absolutely. So InvestiFi brings the digital investing experience of, let's say, like a Robinhood into the online banking platform of the credit union. And so what that means is that when your members log into their online banking experience via either desktop or mobile, they can seamlessly get into a digital investing experience that is very similar to what they might experience with, let's say, Robinhood or SoFi. And this allows them to do fractional investing for as low as $1, but also engage with things like guided investing. And because of the way that we've built our funds flow, we actually don't move money out of the credit union in order to be able to support those interactions. And what I mean by that is, InvestiFi is unique in that we support investing directly from checking. So your member never needs to move money out to a third-party account in order to be able to invest. If they've got money in their account, they can invest. And what that means is that brings deposits back to the credit union, which people were formerly sending to, let's say, Robinhood or SoFi on a regular basis, to be able to just have money in those accounts to be able to invest whenever the opportunity came up. So it delivers a better experience for the member, but it also is really focused on the health and wellness of the credit union. So it's a win-win.
Most credit unions have a strategic focus on both attracting new members while also maximizing retention of existing members. How does InvestiFi walk alongside credit unions to support them in this area?
Well, I think credit unions have a really powerful opportunity to leverage the interest, particularly in a younger audience, in digital investing. It's clear that people want to engage with it, given how fast Robinhood has grown. So bringing digital investing into the credit union's online banking experience is actually a powerful way to offer that younger audience a better experience than those investing apps, which obviously leads to potential new members. But For existing members who might not have as much experience with digital investing, the credit union's already a trusted partner. So having digital investing, whether it is that fractional opportunity for as low as $1 or leveraging guided investing, or frankly, even getting started with crypto, from within the online banking experience that you already know and trust actually helps to expand the relationship with those existing members. And to be frank, using this digital investing as an opportunity to market to your members is a huge opportunity to not only get them involved in potentially more services, but also frankly to just get to know them better about what they're engaging with, what they might not be engaging with, where they are in their lives. And so I think it really helps to both create opportunities to bring new members in-house, but also to be able to build deeper relationships.
Yeah, that's amazing. So staying on the topic of member retention, of course, member experience is pivotal in that respect. Can you share a bit more with our listeners about the work your team at InvestiFi does specifically related to helping credit unions and providing that top-level member experience that can really become a competitive advantage?
Yeah. When InvestiFi started, and frankly, with every product and service we build, we begin with what we refer to as a first principle approach, which focuses on breaking down complex problems to their sort of fundamental truths, and then creating innovative solutions to address those problems. So the way that we think about what we do is not only first and foremost to focus on the support of the health and wellness of the financial institutions we serve, but also to ensure that the user experience is the best that it can possibly be. And every time we expand our solution set, and frankly, even when we are in the process of doing an uplift on anything that we already offer, the focus is on that end user experience. And really the reason why we want to do that is it needs to be not only seamless for that user, but also so that it is a pleasure to engage with that experience, so that we really are creating an opportunity to make them feel safe, secure, but also supported with everything that they need to know in order to be able to engage with digital investing. So that first principles approach really helps us to think through, what are we delivering? How does that help to impact that member experience in a positive way? And also, as a user, what are the kinds of things that you would want to have access to? So ensuring that there's access to information about, let's say, frankly, financial education is a huge component to what we do, but also having access to, let's say, market tickers from within that online banking experience, or going beyond that to being able to click on a stock and get information about the company. So we really try to make it as user-friendly, but also as complete of an experience as possible.
That makes me really excited for this next question, because I think one of the greatest strengths of our industry is the true care and concern for supporting people in their financial wellness journey. So I'm curious about your perspective and experience around why financial education is so important, especially in an uncertain financial environment.
I'm really deeply passionate about this, and I know that everyone at InvestiFi is as well, particularly because we do work in a space that is not really well understood, particularly as pertains to crypto. Credit unions are actually, at present, the only type of financial institution that can offer cryptocurrency. And to be frank, there are so many resources out there that are not credible nor accredited when it comes to financial education, specifically about crypto. But in my estimation, I don't know about you, I never had the opportunity to take a class about what is a stock? How does that impact the company from whom I'm purchasing that stock? What are different kinds of options? Or how do I even build a portfolio, right? So a lot of people who are just getting started in the digital investing space, particularly that younger audience, are listening to what are now referred to as finfluencers. And we did some research last year, and literally 4 out of the 5 top used resources for financial education are not credible, in that people are listening to people on YouTube who don't necessarily have a background in finance. They've just somehow built a YouTube presence. They might be listening to their family members or friends in regards to, hey, you should buy this stock or what have you. But there's really not a foundational place to find that information. And so what we've done is built extensive education within the platform, so that not only can you search for information from within the platform, but you could quite literally go through all of the resources that we have, from Securities 101 to what is margin trading, to what's the best way to diversify my portfolio, to frankly, what is Bitcoin? What is crypto? How does it work? How does it create value? InvestiFi is also doing an uplift on the learning section to make it easier and frankly a little bit more fun to learn about the digital investing space, so that everyone has the information they need to be confident in making the decisions on how they choose to invest. One of the things that again, I'm really passionate about is it's really important for us to all have the ability to be able to build a solid financial foundation, but we can't think of investing in a gamified way. And what I mean by that is, this isn't about buying a stock and then selling it 30 minutes later based on 30 cents of a move, right? What we're talking about is building an opportunity for a financial foundation that will last us for hopefully our entire lives, and give us the opportunity to, buy a home or send our kids to college. And I take that very seriously, because financial matters in particular are deeply personal. And I think we have to ensure that everyone has access to education about how to do this and the right way to do this, so that they don't lose money on potentially frivolous investments.
That's really amazing. And your passion for this is definitely palpable. As we look into the future, what is InvestiFi's focus on the road ahead?
That's a great question. We have a really extensive roadmap. And right now, we're actually very, very fortunate to be moving forward with a lot of really exciting new customers who are just coming on board. But we are also in the process, as I mentioned, of doing a really heavy uplift on our education, particularly to make it a little bit more useful and interactive. Specifically, as we all know, everyone learns in a different way. So we're building in things like videos or podcasts, or leveraging external partners for some of those learning components to build credibility further into that platform. But to be honest, we're also expanding our asset classes. We'll be incorporating mutual funds at some point and IRAs, but we're also always looking to improve the experience. We're also actually expanding into a number of additional digital banking platform partners, which will help us to be able to serve even more credit unions in a seamless way, because we'll be able to directly integrate through those digital banking partners.
Sounds like you're not going to be bored anytime soon.
Very true. Very true.
So as we wrap up the show, I like to have some fun with some rapid fire questions to let our listeners really get to know you better. The questions are rapid, but your answers do not have to be. Do you think you're ready?
Yes, I've always wanted to be on a game show, but I will try to take my time.
We don't have any cool game show music, but maybe somebody can put something like that in. So who is someone in your life that was a great leader, and what makes them great?
I think we all learn from the leaders in our lives, whether they are good or bad. And, early on in my career, I did have someone who was an amazing leader and has always been sort of the standard for me. But I will say, and I don't want to sound like a goober here, but because you're going to think I've completely drunk the InvestiFi Kool-Aid, but the best leader that I have worked with, who has really just instilled confidence in me and has let me shine by allowing me to build the function and expand it in a way that is frankly working like gangbusters, is my current boss, Kian Sareshta. I learned, I think, a couple of years ago that my love language at work is words of appreciation. Just hearing someone say, thank you, I know you're working hard, is all I need to be able to feel like what I'm doing is contributing to our goals. And he leads with gratitude, and he leads with just a selflessness that I have seen very rarely. And he makes it easy to come to work and jump out of bed every day. So,
well, we have the same work love language. I like that.
Yeah.
So if you're going to splurge on something and you really want to treat yourself, what's one thing that you might invest a little bit in besides InvestiFi?
I am a travel junkie. I love to travel both domestically and internationally. I studied abroad in college, and I was able to do that actually in high school as well. So I think I caught the bug pretty early on. So if I'm going to invest in anything, I will be saving up to go on a trip.
Okay, well, that's perfect because it's going to lead me right into our next question.
Okay.
If you are going to travel, whether it be for work or otherwise, what city are you most excited to visit?
Okay, so I'm going to have to choose one domestically and one internationally. If I'm going to travel, I think London is probably going to be the one that I'm most excited to visit. And that's, to be perfectly frank, because I've already spent a ridiculous amount of time in Paris. But my favorite city in the United States is New York. Yeah.
I love it. What is one book that you think everyone should read?
I'm an audiobook girl because it allows me to do two things at once. And let's just be honest, we're all multitasking at all times. But I have two, actually. One is Let Them by Mel Robbins, which is a recent read for me. It is life-changing. I highly recommend it. And as a marketer, if anyone else is listening as a marketer, I highly recommend Words That Work by Dr. Frank Luntz. He is a former speechwriter and a professor. He is phenomenal. It really helps to hone all of our messaging efforts to a very clear, distinct approach.
That's perfect. And Let Them in particular is one that I was discussing with some people on LinkedIn recently that we all kind of have it on our list. And I was thinking, might as well be a book club at this point.
Right. Pretty powerful. Yeah.
What has been your best hack for creating balance and integration between your work life and your life life?
Well, I'll be really honest. I'm not great at it. But I think, and I'll be honest, I hate it when people say this, but I think the first thing you have to do is find either work that you love to do, and ideally with a great team, because we spend so much of our life and our time at work. But the alternative to that is to find value in what you do for work, because it will really help you to feel like what you're doing every day is impactful. And the second thing I would say is do something every day that gives you joy, whether it's, cooking dinner or spending time with your kids or walking your dog or just enjoying a piece of chocolate for 10 minutes. Treat yourself the way you would the person you love most in the world.
I think that is perfect advice. And I too am one of those people that aspires to be really good at balance, but I'll tell other people how to do it. I'll worry about it later. We will be sure to link to everything we talked about today in the show notes. But my last question for you is, do you have any final thoughts or anything you would like to share with our listeners?
I do. Before I had the opportunity to work in the credit union space, I didn't understand just how powerful and deeply committed this group really is. And so I'd really just ask your listeners to remember that what they do every day is so impactful for their members, and to be proud of the work they do in their communities. I think credit unions have such a unique position in society, and not enough people know that they're there. And as I mentioned, financial matters are deeply personal, with lots of feelings wrapped up in the interactions about those things. And credit unions are unsung heroes in our community. And I would just ask that your listeners remember how powerful and important they are to the community they serve. And that while they might not hear it very often, that the lives they touch are better off for the work they do every single day. So thank you.
That is amazing advice, Sarah. And thank you so much for being on the show. Stay well. And thanks to all of our listeners for tuning in today to the CUInsight Network. We will be back again next time.